Have you guys talked about the post-credit scene? If you did, what was that about? I was confused. Well, here, let's just go right into that. Go into spoilers.
Okay.
Because I figured that's an easy one with spoilers.
Yeah.
It was a goof. It was just a gag.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything important about it. I mean, I don't know what you think.
I think it's talked about how much the people could be, thrown off of it, by anything. Cat, and they're making fun of cat videos. You know how people are just like, "Oh, look at these cat videos! Oh, that's crazy!" And it was kind of how people are like sheep, and whatever we put out there, that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to have. And I felt like that was kind of what they were going with with that.
Yeah.
To show how much people are sheep just fall in line.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to the first act of the movie, which probably I didn't expect that kind of what they gave us. It really threw me off, and I was just like, what? Like, because it's really, which this is why a lot of people didn't like the movie. It was very, very meta. I mean, it was like to the point where I was laughing at some parts because it was just so meta, where it was literally making fun of itself. And then at one point it was making fun of the fans that made fun of the movie. So it was just like that. I was like, that's hilarious. It's like, because it's kind of like, I feel like the Wazowski was like, oh yeah, you guys are, a-holes. like, oh, because there's the whole part where they're in the think table kind of thing, and they're like, oh, we got to make them think and this and that and bullet time and stuff like that. I was like, that was one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie, just because it was making fun of more, like so much more.
Can I ask Will a question? Before,
yes,
specifically, Will, I want to know, what do you think the movie would have been saved if they had Lawrence Fishburne in it?
Oh, damn. Spoiler alert, Lawrence Fishburne is not in this movie. Great question. So we got the great value Morpheus and not a single real callback. When I say real callback, meaning like something that progressed the story.
17th wall was broken. Yeah.
How many times did they break the wall, bro? They kept building it up. It's like, again, boom. And spoiling of the wall breaking. But yeah, if Lawrence Fishburne was in this movie, I think it would have earned itself some cool points. I think it would have earned itself, but they would have had to use him the right way, because he's a cool callback character, right? Bring him in, but would he have, with the love story that they were going for, right? Tank really touched on it really accurately. This is more of a drama than a sci-fi, action, and so Lawrence Fishburne, I don't know if he would have added to the drama. He would have added to the legacy part of the movie. So, like, in the sense that Morpheus, in the original Matrix, he was the one that found the one, right? Found Neo. If they were to bring him here, what would he add besides,
more nostalgia? I think
more nostalgia. Yeah, because when he came in the first one, he had big purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was finding Neo. He was the one that taught Neo what he knows, right, through the training program that he excelled so well in, right? All these cool things he brought in, but what could he bring to a romance? What can he bring to a video game, right? Spoiler alert. The first act that we keep talking about is the whole play on breaking of the fourth wall with the Matrix. That was this fake real world, and they put that in a video game, which is a fake real world. So that was they really Lana really tried to play with your feelings, but not in the way that we wanted to. They instead incorporated a video game, and like, I was hoping they would have, like, if you're gonna go that goofy and really incorporate the video game, why not bring in the actual video games that Warner Bros. Put out? That was on PS2 or something. Like, they could have used a PS2 control. They could have done like a few things to like make you think like they're really making fun of themselves, but they're doubling down. I didn't get that sense, and so with Lawrence Fishburne out, I don't know if he would have added so much. Like, I love him as an actor. He is just great. He's amazing. I'm not taking that away
Thank you,
from him.
Mondo.
Thank you, Armando. But if he was in the movie, I don't know if he would have been utilized the correct way. We didn't get a few characters that would have, helped progression of the movie. Imagine if we would have talked to the Oracle for a good 10 minutes or something. That could have progressed the story, sci-fi wise and romantically. And I didn't get that. We didn't get the Oracle. There was a few missing things that I really was hoping for. Something in particular. Oh, the doors, right? We no longer had payphones, right? In real world scenario, where do you see a payphone? So I understand that you had to change up story a little bit with things like that, little, minuscule little mechanics of the movie, and that's fine. The door mechanic, it just didn't do it for me. It didn't really wow me. Of course, there's always an open door. There's always another way out. They kind of explored that whole trope in, was that Matrix 2 with the Keymaster?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was that Matrix 2? And that was a cool thing, showing all the doors and really digging into that part of the sub-reality, if you want to call it that. But the door thing in this one added nothing to the movie, in my opinion.
No.
Did you guys were you guys impressed by the door mechanic being a portal?
Marvin said I think the video game thing was just about the control over Neo. It was just a tool that they didn't focus on the game thing so much, which is why I agree. It was definitely, it wasn't meant to be so meta, even though it kind of was, but it was also meant to be like you're in control of your own destiny because you played the Matrix and you're actually in the Matrix. It's a Neo, that kind of thing. So but real quick, before you go into the door, I want to talk about Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus too.
Go ahead. Yep.
I'm glad they didn't put him in this movie. It would have ruined the legacy of what Morpheus was. Because if he was in this movie, he wouldn't be doing badass Morpheus shit. He'll be an old ass man, just like Jada Pinkett Smith was. And I don't want to see old, wrinkly Lawrence Fishburne walking around. I don't want to see that. Let his
totally hear you. Totally.
Yeah, let his presence be like, they had the statue. That was all I needed. Where they idolized him so much. They're like, after everything went down, they made him the king, and they put a statue, and he's the greatest of the greatest, And then he helped rebuild entire society. It was like, that's all I needed from Morpheus, because the new Morpheus isn't Morpheus. It was Neo's subconscious implanting in the video game that he made while he was in the Matrix to allow him to help get out of the Matrix. You know what I mean? That's the whole Inception making thing.
That's
it's like
you said that, it does. I know exactly.
Yeah, because it's his version. It's his version of Morpheus that he put in the video game that later would help him get out of the Matrix again. So it was a very his idea of Morpheus, and I like that. That's why I like when they say great deal Morpheus. I'm like, that's kind of funny because it's literally a knockoff. It's literally a memory of somebody, and this is how I remember them, kind of thing. So that's what I was like. I was upset. I'm like, because Lawrence Fishburne is awesome. I love Lawrence Fishburne. Everything he did in John Wick. I'm sure he's gonna punch John Wick a few more times for not being in the Matrix. But yeah. So Armando said the new Morpheus seemed like a joke. I don't know if he seemed like a joke. He just wasn't. He wasn't real. He was a thought.
Yeah.
He was an idea.
He was a program.
Yeah. He was a program.
To do what the program was going to have him do. So I want to say this without sounding terrible. But my problem was the new society that they had no male leadership. So most of the captains were female.
In IO?
Most of the leadership there was all female. It was like it devalued the place that the man can also be. Not that the man has to be the man, to be the person, but the fact that there was no male kind of was a little bit like, all right, we should be partners. It's not all male. It should not be all male dominant, and it should be all female dominant. And it seems like instead of the one before was all male dominant, this went all female dominant, and that's why I feel like Lana put herself in that place a lot, and I felt like no matter where we were on the ship, female dominant. In Io, female dominant. Like, spoiler alert: Neo is not the one who figures out how to do all this stuff first. It has to be a female one. It was so anti-male. It kind of was like, all right, come on, So I felt like
that's why he's like, what? Marvin's like, what the hell are you talking about, Bryon? There were like 5 male captains when they had the volunteers. That's what I thought too. It was the main captain was I can't remember her name.
Yeah. So
but
who's the main character, Marvin? Who's the main character? Who's the leader of Io? Who's her second in command, Marvin? I'm saying,
Bugs. That was her name. I was like, what was her name?
You know what I'm saying? It seemed like that was being hammered over the head about a little bit more than it was before. And not that I thought it was good to have Jada Pinkett Smith as the person who was leading it at the time, but it was just it would have been nice that she was leading it and Morpheus took a back seat to it. Like, I did this, now I'm allowing you to do this. You're doing it too, and it's like,
and I feel like you're reaching with that. So Marvin said, I get what you're saying. And
people though, I've talked to a lot of people that have said the same thing.
I didn't mind that it was more girl power. The whole Trinity being the one, I didn't mind that as much because it's a brand new different Matrix. It's not the same Matrix. So why would the old one be the same as the new one? It doesn't make any sense. No. Also, like, I'm sure he has the power, but
he's going through trauma. Yeah, you saw at the end.
That too.
They're both
flying around
at the end. But the trauma that he was going through, and it couldn't unlock what he wanted.
Well, they needed each other. They needed each other. Yeah. That's a callback from the first one. Is they kind of always hinted at it that they were stronger together, and that was like one thing. I remember being in a class and I was talking about like literally the Matrix, like the entire class, and it was just like nature versus nurture. You know what I mean? So it's like, was Neo the one because Morpheus and Trinity believed so hard that he was the one that he pushed himself to believe it, or was it actually nature where he was the one and like there was no one that was going to stop him, because
but he wasn't the one when it was just him. He wasn't the one until he realized that Trinity was in love with him and he was in love with her, and the person that she loved was going to become the one. So it's like,
but also that was implanted by the Oracle, because the Oracle said you're gonna fall in love with the one. Yep. So then same thing with Morpheus, you're gonna find the one. So it's like, like where does like destiny and choice kind of become that whole thing with that? But this one was definitely like roles reversed. It's
Question.
Like he needed her or she needed him.
Question.
Yeah.
If you separate Neo and what the hell's her name? Trinity. Does that make you not the one? Can you only be the one if you're in this relationship? That's what it kind of sounds like, what you just said. And it kind of sounds like it's true that when Neo, when he was by himself, not really valuing his love for Trinity, he wasn't the one. The Oracle was even like, nah, you ain't it. At least not yet. And then when he did, get together with Trinity, then he was the one. And then same thing here. Trinity was just a stay-at-home mom or something in her Matrix world. And as soon as she finally woke up and was like, oh, Neo, I remember you now, then she turned into the one. She got her flying abilities all of a sudden. Like, I think you can only be the one if love is involved. If you have no love, no purpose, I think the one doesn't even exist. I think love is the driving motion or the driving factor.
Well, I think their love. I think that's definitely their
love is what made it so special. They're able to transcend the ideas, because they've had other ones before, but none of them did what Neo did. But that's because and they even said the architect even said it's because you had connection to everyone else differently. Because you're in love with that person. You will do anything. You will die for that person. So everyone else, who cares? Because even think about when Neo got to Io, he was like, "Yeah, I hear what you guys saying. I know you saying I could bring it back down for it'd be bad for everybody else, but guess what? She's my everything. That's where I'm going to go.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. What
nothing else mattered. Yeah. So it's it was. It's definitely them together, and that's why I liked about this movie was they literally pointed it out, which it kind of, well, I guess I don't know if I liked it, but it makes it more obvious, like them together, no matter what world they're in, them together are like soulmates beyond, like they are the same kind of person type of thing.
Is
like,
that what it was?
They're two halves of the same.
I felt like they built a new place around them. So because the whole place was built around them, they were going to be the one, no matter what.
Yeah. I think well, here real quick, let's get to Marvin asked the question. They made a reference to what the difference was, that the same energy the Matrix gives is war. Yep. Some of the other leaders couldn't see anything but war. Yeah, exactly what I was gonna say is like, did a lot of the guys were like, all I know is killing robots, therefore all I can do is kill robots, and they stayed in Zion and just shot at each other all day. And then then the women and were like, hey, we're gonna make a nice peaceful and allow everyone in. I don't
But isn't that once again
mind that so much?
I felt like it should have been like, no, we were hand in hand together, and we together were able to take it to another level, instead of saying men were stupid and women are the way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like it's supposed to be a partnership, and that's not what it was. That's not what they were saying.
I don't think I felt that much about it, because even like, because the main guy who took Neo to his cell, that was another one of the captains, and that was a dude.
He was right after. He was our main person, yeah. So
yeah, he was like one way. He was different. I forgot what his name was.
I'm blanking right now.
Because that was like one issue I had with it, was they didn't really dig into a lot of these other characters like they did in the original trilogy, or even the first one. Like, they had the part of Neo eating the steak. Obviously, that's a callback. But it's like in the first one, like I thought Tank, was important. His brother was important. Like all the other characters on the ship were important. This one, you kind of felt like it was just Bugs and then Morpheus, and then that was it. Like no one else. I really got too much backstory, and I wish I had a little bit more. But I get they were just focusing. They was completely focused on Neo and Trinity. Yeah. I think Marvin wants to come in here and.
I don't want to feel like arguing for the next half an hour. I'm just like, whatever. You want to be here, I will go. But Sati, they talked about the program because our parents,
right? They
did a little bit of her. Said we had Bugs, we had Bugs. Trinity, Niobe, but yeah, they really didn't get into anyone else.
The other chick, I was kind of curious. I really wanted to know more from her, because she's like, I'm here because of Trinity. Because Trinity also had like this mythos to her. It's like everyone knew Neo, he's the one, but then people, like a lot of the women also were like, yeah, Trinity was also a badass too. Where she's like, Bugs, I think is like, oh, I wanted to be like her. The other woman on the ship was like, I wanted to be like Trinity. So it's very like that. I like that. It was like, it wasn't just Neo. I think a lot of people 60 years later, they found out like it was the whole group. It was Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus that really kind of saved them, in a nutshell. I don't know. I mean, there were parts where I get why, like what you said, like I think people are saying it's woke, it's too woke and stuff like that. I didn't have an issue with it being woke. I didn't think it was, but I think people were going to say that no matter what, because of Wazowski it's one of her movies, so like something like that. I'm gonna Bring Marvin in. See what he's got to say.
Yo, hey,
Welcome to the show.
I got a baby.
What's up, man?
Oh man, so you can't get too loud.
Don't be putting him on there.
Yeah, so I think that the love story part that people are focused on was a screen to actually what was happening. I think the overall thing that they kept going to about what happened with the robots and the machines and everything, that they evolved. They're following the same path that humans did. Oh, something happened. They had a revolt. Now some of the robots want to be with them. They also the part about them being together and being closer and stuff like that. I think that was more important than actually being in love. They're going through industrial revolution. The robots are. They've discovered nuclear power by having them do that. And I think that a part that gets missed, Anderson and Smith, he said to him, "You never understood our relationship well. If you understand nuclear fusion and nuclear fission, it talks about it. Nuclear fission is what they do to make the atom bombs to destroy. Okay, that's Mr. Smith and Mr. Anderson. They're the same, one and the same. And he said, you freed me twice. They split them up. Yeah. I can't have you escape. And then I go back to being part of it. So that's the part that I think that people are missing. The fusion part is what Neo and Trinity are. And I feel like that's what he spent a long time talking about, we found if we keep you there, thinking that you can reach it as long as you're close, but not touching. Think about how many times they had the videos of them touching and there being a big explosion, big explosion and stuff like that. I feel like the love thing was like a veil. She might have veiled it too much and made it too heavy, you know? But I think that was a whole thing. These machines are now evolving through the same path that humans took. Hey, we got these machines and now the machines are not doing what we want them to do. And we're the machines. So, you know, I feel like the part about Great Value Morpheus, that was his paranoia and all the memories he had where it felt real. He was like, let me do this so I can see if he's real, to see if he's going to come, to see if this is actually happening. That was the paranoia setting him up. I thought the whole thing with Neil Patrick Harris was good. I thought he did a good job being the guy. He was awesome at that. One of my favorite parts was when they brought the Exile in and they had the Merovingians. That was dope for him to come back.
Really? A lot of people hated that scene.
He was just talking mess the whole time about what they used to have. We used to have all these good food and stuff.
I couldn't even understand him.
It
was a thick Italian accent, but
and then Bryan's thing, it wasn't woman dominated. If you look at the guys that were there before, they were all old. And Niobe was probably the only one that women last longer than men anyway in life. So when you think about it, was 60 years ago. Naomi's probably 30. She's probably 90 now. That old guy that was in charge of the council, the old beard, he was already 70, so he's dead. The Morpheus' hater, he was old too. He was in his 50s. He dead. The dude with a stick up his butt. I can't remember him. I want to say Braxton P. Hardenberg, but that's not what his name was. But you know who I'm talking about. And I think
I can't remember his name.
I think that the love thing may have got pushed through so much, but I wish they had to focus more on that, on what was actually happening with the machines. They downplayed it a little bit about how the machines were. Oh, now these other machines are on our side. You know, the show was actually happening. And then the part about her being the one. I don't think that necessarily was it. I think that when you talk about what they were, the programs, Neil Patrick Harris talked about a part where he said they didn't know that it wouldn't work because they don't know that your source code isn't there. He talked about their source code not being there anymore because they had been taken out. It made those two anomalies programs work together better. And maybe that's all that it was, that, hey, now that they've made this something and you're out, both of you now are outside of that because Neo was the one and now Trinity came out of it and did her thing too. Now you're outside of it and you can change anything because you were part of the original system, that now this is like a sub program in that you can see this stuff from the outside, you know, kind of like the Washer in Marvel, but you know, I'm not gonna go there. That's a little bit a bridge too far with that. But anyway, really what I'm saying is that I think that people get distracted by love and by, I don't know where Bryon went with his all about women thing, whatever.
Because
don't let your wife see that part.
Look at no, or I just tell her don't look at Lana's her interview when she talked about it. And how it helped her with it, and it's okay, but it's something that I can say that for me, like I didn't like when Lion King, when they changed the live action to change the story of a boy finding himself to change it like that. I felt like that takes a part from me. Necessarily, not necessarily for everyone in the world, but for me, it takes a little bit away from it because I feel like you try to say men only do stupid shit.
You know what you sound like, Bryon?
Can do a lot of.
Bryon?
If you say my dad, I would be so mad.
The Little Mermaid was black. That's what you sound like.
It's a fish.
Right. Exactly. So I think they did a good job. I liked the beginning a lot when he was actually, when stuff was starting to go down and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's all I got to say.
If you had to give a rating, watch now, later, or never, what are you giving it, Marvin?
I give it a now, but like you have to. I think that when you have something like I think they have to face the same traps that any movie does when you have such a epic trilogy about stuff, and you come back 20 years later. There's a whole lot of people that don't even remember the experience of what it was when it came out and the time it came out. When the first movie came out in like, what was it? Was it 99 or 90?
99.
99. It was the first part about people talking about what's going on with the internet, how all this stuff was, and everything like that. And I feel like you have to look at it through the lens of that. And I feel like one, people are, it was, man, there was still a lot of action. There was a lot of fighting in that. There was a whole lot of fighting in action.
But it wasn't good fighting, man. I mean,
was it as good as
what
the
are you
first
talking
one?
about?
We saw the line from when they were actually doing the stuff. Like you can see, it wasn't done well.
Okay, so you're talking about
the quality of the film, as I said before.
That's a good question, Armando.
Do you think there's a trinity out there for Agent Smith?
You know what I think?
So a girl virus?
I think it's not. I think it's not even necessarily about that so much. I don't think it's especially about them being Neo being the one or Trinity being the one. I think it's a different level that you reach that anybody possibly could if they continue to fight. They spent a lot of time talking about how people didn't want to be free anymore. And now you have these people that
they're going Super Saiyan with it. They're going Dragon Ball Z. Like first it's Goku, and now you got like an army of Super Saiyans. So
right,
it's like,
exactly.
is that what they're going with it? Like a bunch of people are becoming the one. You might see a robot become the one next. I mean,
but I think
that'd be interesting.
I think that relationship between Mr. Smith and Anderson, and then Anderson and Trinity, that is.
I didn't even think about that.
The same side of negative and positive. Negative reaction, positive reaction about what can happen. So,
and that's how it always was. It was balance. And I get what Armando's saying was like, is there a Trinity and her own Smith kind of thing, because it's all about balance. Where it's and man, I didn't even think about that until you said that. Where you have him and Trinity like want to be together, but they're being kept apart, and then you have Smith and Neo like keep coming together, but like, or want to be apart, but they keep getting pushed together, so it's like, so it's like that constant like give and take on both sides. So it's
right.
Like,
so while
really
they had Neo trapped, Mr. Anderson was trapped too.
Because he needed to be there. He had to be there. Yeah.
So
he didn't like that take.
But see, Bryon, that wasn't even a half an hour. You arguing with me?
That's because I decided to argue.
So I got
apparently. You had your secret weapon.
The easy out, quick
right.
out.
No, but no, I think it was good, and I would give it a watch now. I thought that scene with Neo, I think the actor that did that, I think he did a great job for what it was compared to being Lawrence Fishburne. You're gonna ask, PJ Tucker to go play like he's Michael Jordan. It's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna go well for you. But he did the best that he could. And I think he did a good job. Yeah. That fight scene with him, there was a nostalgic fight scene. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
dojo.
That was good. I wish they brought Hugo. What's his name? Hugo Weaver back. That's the only one I wish they would have brought him back. All right. So real quick. So the scene Bryan's talking about. Here it is. These are all the captains that are being asked to volunteer. So besides, I don't know who. I don't think that's Morpheus at the end. But you got boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy. So it's literally one for one.
So let me ask you. So then, who's the leader of everything, and then who's the second in command?
They don't really show the second in command, but definitely it's Naomi is the leader.
Is the leader. There's no doubt she's the leader.
There's no count. Like in the last one, there was like a council, not council. Okay,
there was a council, like not council, but like there's people that were ahead of them. She was taking Neo around, and she said, "This person is the head of this, and then this person is the head of that, and then this person is the head of that, and and they're all female."
Well, I think he just showed her the person, the other lady who made.
No, that was like three other people they talked to.
Well, I thought it was. I could be wrong. I gotta watch it again because that's like a little stuff I didn't watch out for. But like the part where I know he goes to the like, oh, she's learning how to grow fruit, which is crazy,
It was a guy, but he was actually a machine.
The machine, but the human was a woman.
Yeah,
but I didn't really think like women being empowered wasn't. I don't know.
You didn't see that.
I didn't really care too much or see it.
I feel like women representation was key here, and they really show that off with what's her name? Jada Pinkett Smith.
Niobe.
I felt like it was really showing off more to the audience. Like, hey, women in power. This is the idea we're trying to get out to you. Even Trinity getting her flight back before Neo. Neo's just hanging there. He's like, oh shit. At this point in time, a woman did better than me. Do I think it's a bad thing? I don't think so. I'm not saying that you said it was a bad thing, Bryon, but I did see a heavily represented woman in power. And maybe that might rub off, toxic masculine guys the wrong way. They'll be like, oh man, like, we kind of lost, which I kind of do agree that a balance of power would have been nice, with men and women. Not that it needed to even be that. It didn't need to be like a fight for power. It's not the story. That's not the movie.
I felt like the whole thing was supposed to be about partnership and what we could do together. And that's what they kept on saying, what we could do together, how we do these things together. And I think that should have been more the focus of when we're together, we're stronger. We're stronger together. No matter what I can do, I can hold these bulls back. That's why I didn't mind that Trinity found a flight, because I feel like it still was them together.
Yeah.
I didn't mind.
And for me, it made more sense for her to bust through that wall before Neo did. You know what I mean? It's like, well, why? Because like you said, he was dealing with trauma. So he was dealing with, he goes, I have to get this. Whether when she became, free, Neo was already there for her. She already had her support pillar there. So, and same thing the other way around. Why Neo was able to break through the wall? Because he already had his pillar there. She was already freed. She was already there. She already knew the thing. And all it took all the stuff, all the ideas from the first one and flipped it and made Neo the Trinity and Trinity the Neo, where like she didn't have to go through the trauma of looking for that missing person because Neo was already there. So she was able just to get it quicker because she already had that, she like a foot ahead where Neo was like, hey, I'm out, but he had to take 2 steps back because people are saying don't do this, can't do that, and then he doesn't have a support system, where Trinity boom.
It felt rushed because like Neo didn't become Neo immediately. He had to go through even the first movie. He went through
the training,
this level, then this level, then this level, and he had to believe in himself, and then he had to try it out, and then he had to figure it out. And she just was like, I'm flying.
But I feel you can skip that though, because she's been with him for so long. So she knows the capabilities of the one. You know, same thing with Super. Like, dude, I didn't even think about this until Marvin said, until Super Saiyan. It took thousands of years before Goku became Super Saiyan. And then like a year later, his like 9-year-old son becomes Super Saiyan, you know? So it's like when a person already knows the tricks, when somebody already knows the tricks, then they can advance quicker. And then that's kind of like the whole story of like just life in general. You know what I mean? Like a rich family is going to have a easier, like their kid is going to have an easier time going through life because they already have that step ahead of stuff, you know, rather than the kid could become rich later. But it's like that step ahead. She had that step ahead because she already knows what the one can do, you know? So, and I think their power
was that she never did that.
Interesting.
I feel like they should have slowed that down. I felt like they should have let her grow through her own,
figure it out.
She didn't have to go through like fight the Agent Smith. She didn't have to do all that stuff. She didn't have to go through that.
She didn't have to.
I just wanted her to like say, okay, hey, even if we're falling, hey, we can do this together. We're still together. And then all of a sudden she stops because the love and belief, she has it.
Yeah.
And it's more obvious, like this is why, because she has that love and belief, and now she stops. Not that she just starts flying around.
Yeah. I mean, it's like they took that leap together, which I get. You know, like he had the block. That was one of the funnier parts was where he tried to fly, and all the animation kind of happened when he went to like chop the floor. It all like bowed out, and he was like, nope. It was like. Yeah. And then Marvin said, "Thanks for letting me jump on. I miss you guys, dude. We miss you, man. Sorry you had to like jump out super quick, you know. But we understand, dude. We get it. You got your little mini me in your hands."
I can't even argue with him because I was looked at him. I was like, yeah, "Look, it's in there. Look, it's a baby. I can't even do it, dude. It's just too cute. I couldn't handle it."
Yeah, but dude, Marvin, whenever you're ready and everything calms down, whenever, dude, you always come back.
Yep.
For whatever show, man. Panda and Grizzly is always going to be Bryon, Marvin, and Alfredo. So, but so we didn't get a chance to talk about this. And my favorite part of this entire movie was something out of a horror film. Is when the other robots, and that's another thing I didn't understand if they were other humans being controlled or they were other like bots, like how Morpheus was in this one. When the was a chaos mode, what they call it? Swarm mode or something like that.
Mode. Yeah, that's exactly.
And they start diving out the windows. That blew my mind, dude. And they just like head dive, like bam, right into it, and then it's just raining humans. I was like, that's so freaking cool. I thought that was super, super, super cool. And that's something like you really don't see even in horror films. I mean, but that's some like,
yeah, you do.
I thought that was super cool.
The happening.
Yeah. I was like, you haven't seen, I was like, you know what? I haven't seen it in a while because it reminds you of like bad stuff. But yeah. I thought that was really, really cool. Like the one guy was like in bed with his wife, eyes got matrix, and he just like takes off and dives through the well. I was like, what? And then like I like that the camera followed him down, you know, until he like hit the ground. I'm like, that was a cool shot, you know. But I think people were expecting another super. But I think that's what people were expecting, another like bullet time where like, you know, somebody's gonna like, you know, do all that. When we got that instead, and I thought that was super cool. You know, it wasn't like high technology, but it was some cool shots.
The idea of it is just so like, whoa, you went there. It kind of, and I don't want to like bring this up because it's so sad of an event, but it kind of, and this is so bad, but it kind of reminded me that scene of 9/11 when people started, you know, unfortunately, I don't mean to laugh about that, but unfortunately when they were like, oh damn, you know, I'm gonna die, so fuck it, we just jump off the building. I got that vibe, and I'm like, damn, that was super sad and super like, damn, that happened, and so
that's why I said like
trauma.
They haven't seen it in a while because it reminds us of bad stuff. Definitely like that. But yeah,
I do want to say this though. I felt like the beginning of that movie, you could have went so many different directions.
Yeah.
Because the beginning of the movie was really, really good. When you're sitting there trying to figure out what's going on, they can went in a lot of different directions. They could have kept that beginning, and if they had more fighting scenes and more epic stuff, I think it would be just as good. But I don't think you would have pleased everyone because the Matrix is so polarizing. So there's no way to please everyone. So if you're going to make the movie and you're going to, and she said she did it because she was grieving. She wrote it because and Neo and Trinity helped her grieve. If you're going to do it, go all the way. You know, this is not going to be a trilogy. She already said this is not a trilogy. It was her dealing with her grief.
Yeah. I wonder though, because they also made fun of Warner Brothers. They're like, "Oh, Warner Brothers is telling us we need another one." I mean, if this starts getting enough buzz, I think it came out in the wrong time. It should not have come out a week after Spider-Man. That you're crazy. You are crazy. Like it should have came out in November.
February. No, they should have came out in February.
Oh wait,
when nothing's there.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
Valentine's Day, you get to watch the Matrix
timing.
and Love. Oh man, that's perfect.
Yeah. So that would be the only thing I'm like, really? Like you're gonna choose to put it out right now, like against the first $1 billion movie since the last Marvel $1 billion movie? No.
The first thing they said it was going to come out the same week as John Wick. That would have been terrible too.
Oh, that would have been so bad.
Away from John Wick. Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, oh, hey, John Wick is in both of these films because he looks like John Wick in this film. I think he was filming John Wick when he was like right when he was done with this or started vice versa, whatever.
Doing like right afterwards, like John Wick and then
yeah. But I mean, even like what like Marvin said, I didn't even think about that. Where like maybe if they not went so hardcore into the love part and more in like they're basically a nuclear reactor together, where like Neil Patrick Harris had to figure out how close can I get them, and get the max amount of like energy from them. And that was such a throwaway line too. Yep.
Marvin said fission and fusion. I think that is exactly because of the age they're in. Fission and fusion is exactly what they are.
Yeah,
but they didn't play this like a triangle. That's something they should have done. This was not played like a triangle. If they would have used it, I mean, I think Marvin is. You guys, I know I've known Marvin for a long time. He's brilliant, so he's thinking more into it than they even did into it. And I feel like that's what that is. That's what they should have done. Once again, we said we needed more in that, and I think that they didn't. They hinted at it, but they really didn't go hardcore into it.
Yeah, they should have went more hardcore with Smith because like I love the whole relationship between Smith and Neo. And part of me I wish they brought back Hugo Weaving, who was the original Agent Smith. Yeah, he's also old as balls at this point now too. So I get why you kind of did it. Where like Carrie Ann Moss looks a little bit older, but I mean Keanu Reeves looks exactly the same, just with a beard. Like he looks maybe a little bit of wrinkles, but nothing crazy. Where Hugo,
he aged well. That's what he aged really well.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
But it was very hard because Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith was such a like mesmerizing role. He goes, Mr. Anderson. That was another thing that really pissed me off. He kept calling him Tom, and I'm like, that didn't feel like Agent Smith.
Smith didn't say that.
Never has he called him Tom. It was always Mr. Anderson. Yeah, and that was the part that was the biggest part that pissed me off. I felt like if he kept calling him Tom like their buddy, but I was like, that's not their relationship. No. Their relationship is like, I need to kill you, and you're always Mr. Anderson. It's not this Tom. I didn't like that. That's like that really rubbed me the wrong way. For some reason, I think that's just like being a super fan. It's like no. Like,
I think that guy that played Agent Smith's like essence, if you will, I think he did a good job, but he missed the key elements that made him Agent Smith. I totally agree with you. Like if you would have called him Mr. Anderson and really with that, that was the inflection of like Mr. Anderson. If you would have did that, that would have tied that loose end for me, for at least for him.
And then again, I couldn't figure out, was he actually Agent Smith that like has to be in there, or was he like the Morpheus where he's just a version that Neo made?
No, when he was able to attack the architect, I feel like that showed that he was actually the virus that they used, the actual virus
Actually, him
program. Yeah,
that just found a version of himself
because it antagonized Neo just enough to keep him in that spot. They just
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Just far outside of all the power, just too far outside of all the love. He's both,
like stuck in the middle,
right in the middle.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I liked it. There was issues, but I liked it a lot. Like I didn't have a problem with like the women in charge. I didn't have a problem with Trinity kind of becoming a badass at the end. I feel that's definitely for me. That I feel like that's definitely like a low hanging fruit that like a lot of like guys are gonna be like, oh well, it was like, but it was like also like they're one in the same. They're soulmates, so why they would make sense that if they're soulmates that they would both be this powerful, especially in a new version of the Matrix. Where Neil Patrick Harris was trying to be all, and on top of that, it's even less techie than it was in the old one, where the old architect made it too advanced. Where this one, he's like, oh, I dummied it down because humans are dummies. I was like, huh, okay. Yeah. So that made sense too. But yeah, I want more. There's a lot more answers. I want a lot more questions I want answered.
It has to be done better.
You know what was missing completely that would have changed the whole game? Her.
The lady in the red dress.
Lady in the red dress. We didn't get the lady in the red dress. No, I'm kidding.
That's
but
funny.
I do feel like the aspect of man against machine, which was the original direction that these movies were supposed to go through with a hint of love. I do feel like the machine against man idea should have been in there a little bit more. I'm not saying to take away from focus from the story, but like,
oh my God.
I get it. Evolution of machine. They all of a sudden want to start working with man, but like you can't always trust machines. You can't. I don't care who you are. They always fuck up. They always, get corrupted. Something happens. I was hoping for a hint of that. Earlier, I mentioned the iRobot, like when a machine gets kind of fidgety and does something they're not supposed to. I didn't get any of that, and that would have opened the door for me. Quote. I mean, no pun intended, but would have opened the door for more possibility of the storyline going forward. For right now, it's just a storyline of love and keeping these two people together, and that's it. That's the story that I see. We could have got more
interesting.
With machines thrown in the mix, which is
I was more under the
I guess because
assumption that they should have gone rather than just man versus machine, because that's what it was. And now they're kind of figuring out that like, you have these humans and machines that are playing well together, but you also have another group of machines that are fighting machines. So is there another group of humans that are fighting the IO humans, and are they teaming up? So it's like, and because all the Matrix is always balanced. So it's like if you have good humans and because like you said, you can't trust machines. You really can't trust humans either. So it's like you get the shady humans and the shady robots together and do shady shit. So like that's what I'm curious. Like I think they could really explore it more because the world is 60 years in the future. What can they do? And I want to see maybe a little bit more outside the Matrix, because it seems like they're building a bigger world than just the surface is all robots and this one little circle in the center of the earth is a city. They're expanding the real world more, and I'm kind of curious to see that, but I don't think they'll ever go that route because people will get pissed off.
True.
Like I want to see flying ship. Yeah, even more pissed off. Yeah. Oh, we got a question. So Armando come in and goes, if Neo and Trinity remember how to fly, can Agent Smith still see the future like the Oracle? I don't think so, because they killed off the Oracle. He didn't make an Oracle in this version of the Matrix. He's like, nah, I don't want her. She caused too many issues, which kind of sucked because I like the Oracle. But yeah, I don't think so. But I think they got to find a way to balance, if they decide to make another film, balance Smith and Neo? And do they do that by making another, opposite of Trinity, like Smith and Neo, Trinity and Johnson? I don't know, we're fucking another name.
Where the Oracle comes back but evil, and that's
or
that's the opposing factor to Agent Smith,
or like a decoy. The architect makes a fake Oracle that gives out bogus plans or some shit.
Oh, that actually
an anti-Oracle.
Oh,
that'd be interesting.
Shit. Yeah, I better take some notes. Better watch this review.
It's pretty good. I like that. I still feel like everything was supposed to be balanced. I think that's what they should have ended it up. It should have ended up, if we do this together, we can reach balance. If the machines and humans come together, we can reach balance. If men and women come together, they can reach balance. And not just balance, but strength.
Yeah.
And I feel like this movie should have been written with the end in mind, and then you figure out the direction. Okay, I want to get here. So how do we get here? And then you think about, okay, well, I need triangle. I need we got Neo and Trinity, and we got Agent Smith, and that's a triangle that always fighting. You should have multiple triangles, multiple layers on top of it to help you get to the end. And I felt like it was written like someone who was just grieving and dealing with what's in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
her sister would have helped
bigger.
out, I think. Yeah. I think her sister would have balanced it, But I think this one ended how the first one ended, I mean, besides them flying away, it was also like the power is changed now, because they could have left just the first Matrix, could have left it alone, never touched it ever again. And I think a lot of people would have thought like, oh, Neo's gonna go fuck shit up and free the humans, and obviously it didn't quite go down that route, but I think that's how you expect it here. But if they decide to make sequels, they would have to get the balance for sure, I think.
I think they need to make more money at the box office to get a sequel to this movie.
I mean, if Venom got a sequel and is getting a third one,
yeah,
I think a lot more people are talking about this movie than Venom, for sure. Venom was trash. This one's definitely got a lot of mix, a lot of polarization in the fans.
Venom made $856 million.
It did. Damn.
And I don't think we're gonna touch half of that.
No, especially with the timing. Like they should have came out like a month or two before this, or a few months after Spider-Man. Not a week later.
That was a loss right there doing that.
Yeah. I mean,
missed opportunity.
Yeah, they messed that up. I think that's all HBO, and then also it came out on HBO Max. So it's not going to do well in the box office because you can watch it at home a billion times, like me.
It lost to Sing 2.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, a lot of these people are probably going to watch it at home on HBO Max. Later. I mean, that's just later. Even I mean, Christmas night. Like I wanted to watch Christmas night. We were home. We were done. We were like, all right, let's throw this thing on,
I watched the Christmas night too again. And I was like,
yeah,
I'm wrapping up for the next 5 hours. Might as well watch the Matrix again.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about that earlier. Bryon, you said you watched it already twice, right? Or multiple times. Yeah. You think it's worthy of watching multiple times? Will it get stale? You think it's that?
If you like the Matrix, you're going to love it no matter what. I mean, if you love the Matrix, you got to watch it multiple times. You want to see every aspect of it. You want to see how things change when you look at this view. You're going to want to watch it. But I think a casual fan, I don't know if you're going to want to watch this again.
Okay. I want to watch it again. I've watched it, like I said, twice. I want to watch it maybe 1 or 2 times more to just get some more insight on things that I missed. Because as you know, there's a bunch of callbacks to the originals. So I want to watch it again. Tank, you said you want to watch it again as well. Is this watchable?
Oh yeah, this is for me. It's like
I'm gonna watch it 3 times.
It gets better. The better it gets better the more times you watch it. For me, because you're able to find things that you missed the first time. You know, like the reflections in the glass, like the conversation that Trinity or Tiffany had with her husband, where she's like, "Oh, it looks like me," and he laughed, and then you start to realize like, "Oh, he laughed because she's a blonde white girl," where she pitches herself as Trinity. So.
Right.
You know, and that's like stuff I missed the first time, where I'm like, oh, the reflections, and they only showed that like I think one time where she's actually not the way she thinks she looks, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like stuff like that. Like you catch so many things that adds to the story every single time. And I think just like the first three, every time you watch it, it gets better. Same thing with this one, you know, and I can't even count how many times I watched 1, 2, and 3. You know, it's been so, I mean, I'm not even kidding, so many times. Like I would go out in my car for lunch and eat so I can watch The Matrix like for an hour. you know, and then throughout the week, throughout the week, I watched all 3 movies and then do it again. You know, so yeah, I mean, I was that addicted to it because it was just so everything. You know, like you know, so yeah.
Masterpiece. Yeah, the first 3 movies to me are masterpieces. As much hate as they got, they brought new elements to movies and new intensities that I didn't know were possible. And in this one, I felt like it was a bit missed, but the more I think you're right. The more you do watch it, the more you catch on to the story more. I am glad they didn't do one thing like, oh, what were you gonna say, Brian?
No, but I think that's because we love The Matrix. I think it's because of who we are. We love it no matter what. And the more we see, the more we know, because we know so much about it. That's why we like it. But I don't think a casual person would care.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, if this is the first, like a newer generation, like obviously, like if you were born in 2000, you're not going to have the same feelings to it. So is this one that maybe brings you into it and start thinking about all this crazy stuff? And
that's what I thought it should have been. It should have been something that just totally blows your mind, and lets you think about something more than what it is. And it was too straightforward for me for that. Yeah.
I mean, it still has its issues. It's not as definitely as a deep thinker like the first one, or basically the first one, you know, first trilogy was. But it had its like kind of like made you think a little bit. Not as good.
I don't want you thinking. I thought it was good. Like it was still a good movie, and because I like The Matrix, I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it. I'm going to enjoy watching it over and over again, just because I'm that type of nerd. But that's right up my alley. But I feel like they could have been more, and that's why I'm comparing it to more. That it could have been more. You could have done more with it.
Like it should have been The Matrix 1 for a new generation.
Exactly. You should have been able to bring someone else in because of it.
Yeah. And then Ken coming in.
Ooh,
I'm hoping they make a movie to connect Terminator and Matrix, which would be interesting.
I hope so. That was
because I know that's what you were saying.
Yeah. That was the whole reason why these stories, not movies, these stories came out, was they were supposed to be interconnected. They were supposed to do a whole like crossover thing that I don't see it happening anytime soon. Is even Terminator by Warner Bros? I don't even think so.
I'm not sure.
But anyways, they've already went separate directions for like, do you see how many Terminators there are? Just like what, 1 billion? Like there's just you can't kick that dead horse any more than you can. But I do hope they do more with The Matrix. Although I was gonna say earlier, I'm glad they didn't take the cliche, thing of like, for example, LeBron James movie Space Jam: A New Legacy. You know how in there his kid made a video game and then like they got into the video game. I was so glad they didn't do that in here. I did not want to see what was in Neo's Matrix game. Like I think that would have killed the whole movie if they would have did that. Like his whole
it just would have been Free Guy.
Yeah, it would have been Free Guy. It would have
exactly.
No.
That's funny.
But,
that's true.
Yeah.
They could have done things a lot worse.
They could have.
Yes,
but
sure.
You know, they could have. I think they could have done. They were closer to this being a great movie than they were this being a horrible movie. I mean, I know there's some people that are like, "This is the trashiest trash I've ever seen." But I think it's definitely more closer to being like, it was a few things away from being great. Ready Player One. Yeah.
Hey, I'm weird. I like the movie. I don't care.
That would have been.
I like Ready Player One. It's not as good as
I like Ready Player One.
I like it. So
I didn't finish it. It gave me vibes from that one Gerard Butler movie where he was controlled by a play. It was the same concept. I think it was called Gamer.
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't know.
I was expecting a lot from Ready Player One, but I liked it still. Well, I guess that's kind of how I felt about this movie. I was expecting a lot from this movie, but I liked it still. And every time Ready Player One comes on, I'm watching it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I gotta watch it. If Bryon thinks it's that good to keep watching.
Oh, you never seen him?
I'll finish it. I haven't finished it.
Oh, you should. The book. So my girlfriend was starting to read it, and she gave up on it because she's like, I already know where it's going, and I don't care. You know, I'm like, huh. And then I read it, and I was like, oh, I got it. It was all love story, which is exactly how this one was. It was exactly what it is. Everything became secondary to the love story, which you're like, what? You know. They didn't. I don't know. I didn't mind it as much, but it was definitely more of a love story than a cool sci-fi movie.
It could have went somewhere like this. It could have went somewhere that would have been epic. You could have had 3 of the Ready Player Ones, but it just didn't.
Well, they made a Ready Player 2. I haven't read that. I'm probably not going to read it, but there's a Ready Player 2 that came out like last year, I think.
Okay.
It didn't do well. It did not do well with the book sales. At least it didn't do well. But yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. But oh man, I don't know anything else, man. I mean, I'm trying to think of anything else that was like really, really good. I'm sure we'll probably talk a little bit more on Thursday or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or on Wednesday.
That's it for me. Wednesday. I just I agree with you guys. I in no way, shape, or form am I disappointed by this movie. I know I gave it a watch later, and a lot of times when I rate movies a watch later is because I'm like, damn, it fell that much short. It didn't fall that short. It is, for me, it is a borderline later and now movie, but I really lean towards the later because of my expectations. So really the real disappointment is my expectations, but not because it's a bad movie, but it's because it wasn't, a 10 out of 10 movie or a watch now movie.
What you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
you guys know.
I wanted an A+ paper. Like I wanted an A+, and I got a B. I was like, okay. Yeah, it's not that it's not bad. It's not average. It's better than what it is.
It's better than average.
Could have been.
Oh, yeah, definitely better than average.
But it's just not there yet. That's what I'm saying. Like it could have been something, but it's just not there. And it just felt like if they just changed a few elements and they added someone to it, I think you could have had a really epic.
At that door, that wasn't.
Yeah, I really think if this came out before Spider-Man: No Way Home, I think it would have hit people a little differently. Because we're already kind of, I won't say nostalgia out, but we already had that big dose of nostalgia a week ago, and now they're throwing another big dose of nostalgia at us again. So I don't know if a lot of people felt like kind of tapped out with that stuff or what, but it's hard to be a second act to anybody who's like amazing. If this is a B or B+, Spider-Man was an A++.
Yeah.
Who's gonna follow that? You know what I mean? Like anything that you read or do watch after something that great is not gonna hold up because you're already at a whole different level of mindset. So
True.
I think they definitely shot themselves in the foot with the release date.
Once again, we talked about Marvel's not coming out with another movie until May. So why wouldn't you done this in like February or March?
Exactly. They're literally handed to everybody on a silver platter. I wouldn't be surprised to see like crazy movies come out in February, March, because they're like, oh, we got to squeeze these movies in before.
Let's get it all in. Let's get it all in. And then before May, which is Marvel time, because you're gonna have May and then July and then it's going to hit.
And then the end throughout the whole year.
Again. But right now, this is this beginning part of the year. This is the time to get it. Put it if you got a good movie, put it on Valentine's Day. It's the time. If you listen to me, you be doing it right now. Change your schedule.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys. That's kind of Matrix related, kind of more geared towards the first Matrix, where we question reality. Do you guys? So back when the first Matrix came out, I was literally questioning reality. Like, hey, like, are we in a what do you call those things? A simulation?
Yep.
And I didn't get that from this movie, and that's okay. It's not really a loss, but. Do you guys ever question reality today? Like, even not even talking about the movie anymore. Do you guys ever question reality? Do you ever look at something or experience something? And I'm not talking about paranormal activities or anything like that. But do you ever look at the world and you're like, that's not the way it's supposed to be? Do you ever have those moments, Bryon?
Well, as far as yes, I'll say that. I definitely do have it. But I promise you, for like 3 years after I saw the first Matrix, I literally thought we were living in a simulation. For like 3 years. I was like, I'm in college. I messed up with this test, but it's all right. This is a simulation. I'll wake up tomorrow.
You're watching every cat walk by. You're like, come on, cat.
Is that the
one? Yeah. Although I gotta say though, I think they did they didn't go as heavy as they did in the first one. Here you go. Here's a cat. The deja vu. But I think they did kind of in the beginning question like, is Neo crazy? You know, like, did he believe his video game was his real life? And that was like part that I liked about it. You know, it was like. It kind of like, was he real? Was it not real? I mean, obviously, I think we all knew it didn't. I think that's why no one went too hard. Like, oh yeah, like he's crazy. If that was legit, if that's what the movie would have been, that would have blown my mind too. Where like, oh yeah, no, it's all in his head and he's crazy.
Yeah.
That would have blown my because they would. Your expectations are here, and then it was like, oh yeah, all that shit was fake. He's crazy. Like he loves, you know, like. Kind of how Joker did. I don't know if you ever remember if you watched Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Like
they
he thought things
would burn
happened.
down the city. They would burn down Warner Brothers if they did that.
Oh yeah,
they were
big time.
There'd be people like literally with pitchforks. Like, where'd you get a pitchfork from? Well, like, just coming in.
Live in the city. Where'd you get that? Yeah,
yeah,
that's funny.
That would have been interesting, but I think they did get to it. But yeah, I do like, especially after watching the first one, I did question like a lot of things. I was like. Too many coincidences, you know, where like when is it too many, you know? And I think that was definitely one. Even still now, I'm like if I need something to happen, I'm like I have to have this to happen. I need to do this, like, you know, for work or for school, and for whatever reason, like it happens, and you're like, okay, like is it a sign? Am I in the Matrix? Like what's going on? I'm gonna hide Bryon. Bryon got froze.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Till this day, I question reality all the time. So I've experimented with psychedelics. I'm not saying that alters my perception of reality based off of that alone. No. But things as small and minuscule as like deja vu, right? That was talked about in the first movie, or like the Mandela effect, when things happen and you're like, oh, you know, like certain things like that, they still blow my mind. Or even it's a joking kind of conspiracy, but like, you ever see your neighbors get groceries or bring groceries inside their home? You never see that. You never see that. And it's like, wait, am I the main character to my own simulation? Is that a thing? Does everyone have their own simulation? I always think about really crazy things like this, and maybe someday, you know, my son will put me in a nursing home for talking like this, but and I'm okay with that. But I definitely question reality all the time. I question like times when I was younger, not to, you know, this is gonna be the last thing I say, but I've had instances where I saw something, and it sounds crazy. I saw something happen before it happened, and then, like you said, and then when it does happen, I think I'm like, you know, a superior being or something. And I started thinking, like,
am I a Jedi? Like,
yeah. And I've had things happen to where they're just so specific. It's like, how could I have guessed that to happen? Like, I guessed one time a cup of orange juice was going to fall off the table. It was nowhere near the edge of the table. So it's like, how could it have fallen off? It like, man, still to this day, I saw it happen. And still to this day, I'm freaked out because I'm like, how did the cup get from damn near middle of the table, get knocked over by itself, and then roll off and somehow get? It's a big table too, the one I'm talking about. But yeah, there's so many times where I'm like, did that really happen? Is that in my head?
Yeah.
So I
Makes
don't know.
you
That's
think
something.
you're like, what?
That's my last thing I want to leave with this review is like, do you still, in the comments, if you have a a situation or a story that you want to kind of type out real quick, go ahead, put that in the comments. I want to know if you experience what I experience, because still to this day I will get paranoid. Really, I mean, it's not a big deal, but I don't know, man. Talk about it. It's interesting.
I'm sure. Well, here, real quick. I don't know if Brian's gonna be able to come back. Oh, there we go. So I did a poll. I always do a poll. So if you're watching, always go check us out on. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
There's Brian. So I always put up a poll on YouTube. And you give your rating, as the viewer, and I always do now, later, never. So we're 50-50 between now and later, which is really interesting. And I didn't vote. I didn't vote. So we got, I believe it was six votes. So, I mean, it's not a lot, but 3 people said now and 3 people said later, which is pretty interesting.
That's right where it needs to be. That's, give respect to the movie. It's not great, but it's not terrible. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah. Exactly. It does not deserve all this hate that I've been seeing everywhere.
Not the hate.
And I know I was telling Brian before we went live was I don't know if it's a thing that YouTube movie critics do where they just hate everything. Like everything. There's a guy I watched today because I wanted to see other Matrix kind of reviews, and I clicked on his channel and he did a Spider-Man review, and he just like ranted how trashy the Spider-Man movie was. I was like, okay, yeah, your opinion's garbage. So I get it. Like this one, you can argue like it's trash. I don't think it is, but like something like Spider-Man is garbage. I was like, nah, I know what you're doing, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
Shock jock. That's what they're trying to shock you. Like,
yeah.
You like it? It was the worst thing ever. How?
Like I'm gonna listen to the guy who likes to scream and yell and say how everything sucks in the world. So no one likes the guy who's like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? Like the nice guy at work. Everyone's like, you son of a bitch. So I get it. It's not fun for me, but
we're all sheep. That's what it is. And watch cat
in the
videos.
Matrix. Yeah, in the Matrix. I think that's what it was. Oh man! But anything else, man? Before we start heading out?
Nah, that's it for me. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. So that's it.
Yeah. We haven't had Marvin come in, man. It's been a while since he came in. He came in and he made me think about some stuff, like legit. Like I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
He's
and then
a smart guy. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I know in our group he came on and he was just like he goes, when you guys talking about this, because
he was ready.
he goes, I got something to say. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. Man, we get a lot of spam in YouTube chat today.
Today we did.
Yeah, usually it's over on Twitch. We get a lot of spam. I don't know why we're getting so much spam over on YouTube, but anybody watching YouTube, sorry. But yeah, man, let's get out of here. So I know. So we got our football shows throughout the week. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we got Panda and Grizzly. Wednesday, Dynasty Pylon. Sundays, also Morning Spike. So if you like your sports stuff, make sure you go follow us over there at the Nerd Huddle and Dynasty Pylon. And then also we have our nerdy stuff where we are going to break down Book of Boba Fett is coming out this week, which is going to be super awesome. I can't wait. And I think we're going to start talking about The Witcher. We're going to break down a couple of episodes of The Witcher.
Nice.
Man, it's just so good. The Witcher's just so good.
It's awesome. Me and my girlfriend always laugh at the wigs because the wigs are so bad. But I mean, it's not. It doesn't take me out, but it's just like yeah, it's funny. So we're gonna talk about Witcher, and then super psyched for Cobra Kai is starting this week, which Season 4.
Cobra Kai, I'm lost. Wow.
Season
I'm
4.
Lost.
And so they recorded season 4 and season 5 together. And William Zabka, the guy who plays Johnny, he said season 5 is his favorite season by far. And I'm like, fuck, damn it. Like, I got to get through season 4 first. Like, dude. Like,
that's why I will say, too. I'm like, hey, if I was an actor, I want to get renewed. I'm like, hey, season 12, man, that's the best one, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But, like, early reviews came in already, and people are saying this is the best season so far. And that's how it's been with Cobra Kai. Every season's been better than the last. And it just it's they know they and it kind of fits with the Matrix where you're taking old stuff and renewing it. You have to take care of the baby, you know, like this is the thing that people love, and you have to do it well and you have to do it justice. And Cobra Kai, I think, does it really good. My girlfriend said it was very goofy. You know, like very CW-y kind of ish. In a sense, it is. But you know, the whole
it is
Karate Kid.
Totally CW. It's CW-ish. Yeah. It is. And guess what? I watched all 15, 16 seasons of Supernatural. So I'm just letting you know I'm into that type of thing.
Yeah. Which I'm like, it's not a bad thing. I mean, the original Karate Kid was the same thing, very silly, over the top. You know. Like teenagers in love and stuff like that. Like this one, sweep the leg. You know, this one they had this like giant like fight scene, you know, like in school, and it was epic. It was so good. It was so good. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for that. So there's definitely a lot of nerdy stuff that we're gonna get into on Wednesdays. So watch Boba Fett, and then come and hang out with us at night and talk about all the nerdy stuff. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. I think we're in a whole like reconstruction phase of the Nerd Huddle and DWJ BBF. So I expect different, bigger, better things from everyone next year, 2022.
Yes.
So it'll be fun. Yeah. But here on Spoiler Kings, man, we keep rocking and rolling every week. I think next week we are doing crap. I know I sent you a list. You remember what we're doing next week? I think the Kingsman, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Kingsman also came out this week. Yeah. Did I send you the list?
You're not doing Sing 2?
No.
How about that? So yeah, so we're gonna do the Kingsman. Well, we're gonna do Don't Look Up, which both of those are already out. But there's nothing coming out those weeks. So we're gonna go back and watch some of the bigger ones, and then Scream is January 17th. We're doing that one. Hotel Transylvania, Transformania. I kind of like the Hotel Transylvania movies, so I'm kind of like psyched about that. And then the end of January, Morpheus. We'll see how it turns out. So a couple good ones. Yeah, exactly. So Kingsman next week, and then Don't Look Up, and then also make sure you guys check us out and make sure you subscribe to Spoiler Kings. We're not doing a giveaway this week. It's just been kind of a crazy week with the holiday, but we are doing a giveaway next week. We're going to do Ron's Gone Wrong for next week's giveaway. So be on the lookout for that. And I think that is it from us.
That movie made me cry.
Which one?
Ron's Gone Wrong.
Really?
I started watching my girls. I was like,
"Is it a sad movie?" You said Ron's Gone Wrong.
It's on Disney Plus.
I was like, I know I saw it in movie theater twice.
Oh, really? I didn't think it was that good.
I didn't see it was. I once again I have girls, but that first one I was like, after seeing Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Oh God. Yeah. Right. Ron's Gone Wrong was okay. It wasn't Pixar. It wasn't even DreamWorks. It was like a bootleg company. It was okay.
Pixworks.
Yeah.
You said what? You said
Pixworks.
Thing, right? Oh, okay.
No.
You were serious. I'm like, do they really do that? Okay.
The animation was good. Zach Galifianakis was the voice of the robot, which was kind of funny. I think he has a very funny voice, but it was not bad. It was good. I think if you have kids, it's definitely good. I think they'll like it. Bright colors, very modern with social media and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, 80 on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Like I said, it wasn't a bad movie. I didn't see anything. It wasn't Pixar. You know, when you expect Disney, you expect Pixar Disney, and that wasn't it. So you're like, what's going on? But still, it was good. It's worth a watch if you got nothing else to watch. You want to watch it with your kids. Wasn't too bad. All right, man. Let's get out of here. So Kingsman next week. That is it from here from the Spoiler Kings. Check you guys out. If you want to talk nerdy, come check us out on Wednesdays. But all right, later.
See you guys.
Deuces.